Hello, everybody, and welcome to our coverage of the latest episode from the Legends of Chima TV series, Attack of the Ice Clan. And I am joined once again by my trusty associates, LJ and Kai.
Hello. Welcome.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that?
Kai, speak up a little bit. You're a little quiet.
No, I'm just wondering what's the cause for this sobbing.
Well,
It's Chima.
Another week with Chima
Yeah,
is another
but you
week
don't
without
get actually-
Ninjago.
Pressed about it.
You know, that actually, it's interesting. I was at a store very recently, and I nearly bought a Chima set.
Which one?
And not just any, just like some small Chima set, but then I
You
decided
should for
against
an
it.
experience. They're actually
I
pretty
might.
cool. Get one with a Speedor if you're gonna get one. They're unique.
Might. Maybe
But-
sometime in the future.
Yeah. So this episode is a follow-up to last week's plotline with the Ice Clan or Hunters or whatever they're called, breaking out from their underground ice prison and attacking Chima, and it's pretty interesting. LJ, give us the quick recap and we'll begin our discussion.
Okay, give me my song. Anyway. So the episode starts off. Fudge, I forgot how it started off.
Ares having another
that
dream.
reminds me. Right.
Dream.
Eris was having another dream, freaking out. She nearly fell out of Soviet Russia again, but decided not to this go around. Her dream involved her with flaming wings, and then Krager and Laval's vehicles turned on fire, and Mount Kavora burst into flames like a giant tinderbox. She wakes up. She's freaking out about it. Go over to the Crocs. What's going on with the Crocs? Well, they're getting turned into Croxicles. Ah, get it? I can't believe they haven't done that yet, because the puns in this episode were so horribly obvious. So, they're getting frozen. We have some antics ensuing with some characters, and we find out, lo and behold, Krager's back to being a prince again, and we're all happy, and Kruler's not happy because she has no one in high power to try and manipulate. Well,
Except for
All
her
the-
parents. I guess you could always manipulate them,
eh,
right?
but not really. Everyone gets frozen, including his parents. Again, they get subjected to this. So, Krager and Kruler and Metal Jaw Man, who's an icicle at this point, managed to make it out on a Croctor.
Helicopter.
That is sad. And they make it over to the Lions, where Eris is having another freak out, saying that this ice stuff is coming across the land. Well, Krager and Kruler and company manage to make it there in time to let them know, yeah, that is the case. So, all the tribes, who, after discussing things and finding out that this is ice, lo and behold, decide to go to war with this giant ice age. So they do. And we are then treated to a fight scene between the standard Chima tribes trying to fight in the ice, all the while cutting into Metal Jawman being unfrozen.
His name is
Antics
Krug.
ensue in both instances.
It's Krug.
Whatever his name is. The Terminator, I don't care. So,
Terminator. Agree.
antics ensue. People get turned into icicles. Very humorous battle. Ends up with the Lions retreating. And everyone retreating, for that matter. And I think that was it.
That was it.
That is everything, I think. What's really humorous to me is the fact that Krager's parents got stuck in the fridge again. Like, they were stuck in the fridge the first season, and they're like, you know, the surprise, Krager's mother's alive. And then it's like, oh, they were going to go into the place to find them. They found them. Everything's great, and then they get stuck in the freezer again. It's like they can never get a break. His parents are just always going to be gone.
It is pretty funny. Not gonna lie. But I have some stuff to say about the content of this episode, and pretty much the one big thing I have to say is the inconsistent freezing of the
Yeah, I was going to
tribe
mention that too.
was very
Yeah,
noticeable.
it was the freezing in Chima is about as consistent as grenades in Halo Reach. Like sometimes they get like they immediately freeze people, other times they don't, and sometimes in the same scene, people will be frozen and other people will not be frozen, and there's no explanation why. People farther away from the army are frozen. People closer to the army are not.
It's pretty atrocious because in the first episode all the scorpions got frozen and then all the crocs got frozen, the same way, and then Kragger and Crueler escape, so I was just like, oh well, it's just because they have plot armor because they're main characters. But then no, all the generic troops are fine too in the battle. So that
even the first
use.
Those two dumb characters, I forgot what their names are.
They outran them, and then they got frozen.
Well, at the beginning, they dive off and they're just pretending to go in the swamp, and they just land on the solid ice, and they're like, "Oh crap, what's that? Guards!" And they yell guards, and the guards behind them on the dock are frozen.
Oh yeah, it's true.
So I don't know why they aren't frozen. That's just never addressed, really.
It's incredibly dumb. And then a couple other things I'd like to point out. The vultures are hilarious. There's this one dude that's trolling Kragger, and he's just doing a crossword puzzle.
Vultures and ravens are like the best characters.
While Kragger's stuck, he's just doing a crossword. It's very funny. And then doing all the humorous cutaways with the lion and Krug trying to unfreeze him. That lion is named Longtooth, and he's actually a very obscure secondary character who they actually, unlike 90% of the characters in Chima, represented pretty true to his actual character, because he had a line where I'd rather be out getting hurt in battle than doing this. And he's very big on fighting, and he loves fighting and not really so much anything else. So I applaud them. I only wish they could translate the main characters like that. It'd be much appreciated. And then, the battle was whatever. They seem hilariously outmatched. I do not know how this is going to turn out for them. It was a very one-sided battle.
It would have been even more one-sided had the thing been consistent, too.
Yeah.
Like, at the beginning, it feels like they show, like, a wave just coming, like an ice wave coming from the army. It freezes everybody they come across. Okay. But when the actual army comes against them, suddenly they have to shoot them now to freeze them? They can't do the ice wave thing again and just walk towards them?
Yeah, it's pretty dumb.
I don't know. It's really weird and inconsistent how that's being handled. But I thought the vulture was easily the best part.
Yeah.
I am kind of liking the little subplot with the mom who's always displeased with her eldest son, but really favors the dumb big baby brother. That subplot is just a little. It's interesting to me. It's a little cliche, but I
it's
enjoy
pretty
it.
funny.
I don't know why.
It's the funniest thing about it thus far. Because I don't know. So some standouts for me personally in the episode were when Laval's father took the chi and fought everybody for a couple seconds. That was cool. And then when Fangar took chi and had his ultra build animation, and it was his unique character model with the spikes and all. I'm a big Fangar fan, so that was a nice addendum. I actually recently got the Sir Fangar set, despite not being available in America, so that's pretty cool. I don't know, what else do you guys have to say about this episode? We seem to be drawing a blank here.
If I may.
Please.
Okay. Overall, I think the episode was okay. The parts where it cut back to Krug being turned into a uncrugsicle. I feel like I'm in the minds of the writers right now. No offense. Don't take any. Those parts were actually very humorous, and I liked the reaction from that one line. What, Longtooth was his name?
Yeah.
So that was kind of funny. The cut-ins were a little bit odd, and some camera angle switches back and forth were a little bit questionable. But overall, I think it was an okay episode. The fight was entertaining, just the actual people fighting were so bootleg. I didn't exactly understand why the Vulture was taunting Krager. I don't particularly understand why. Sir
he's just kind of a
Fangar
dick.
had like an orb of chi, and he was just sniffing it like, I've never seen one of these before.
Yeah,
Instead
that
of
was
just
pretty
going,
odd.
and
Yeah.
finally he like gulps it down like a pill. It's kind of unusual. But aside from a few nitpicky things that I'll put in the cons section of my review, I think it was an okay episode. It was humorous and it was entertaining. It just wasn't gripping. It didn't hit that high note. It was kind of in the medium range.
Yeah.
They are doing a lot of build up with this episode, I feel, and they're trying to introduce a new enemy that they haven't faced before and is more powerful than what they faced before, which I can appreciate. I appreciate they're trying to raise that bar of how high things can go. As LG knows, that's a concept that we've tried to do before, that hopefully we've seen. Right, at some point. Whenever you try to introduce a new villain, you have to make sure that new villain is kind of something worth facing. So I'm glad that they showed this little piece as a example of how powerful the villains are. My main problem with it is basically that it's so inconsistent. I feel like it should have been a much simpler battle than it was. I feel like I don't know why the freezing didn't work. I don't know why the rules they established aren't consistent throughout the entire episode. That's what kind of takes away my suspension of disbelief. Like, I have no problem believing that these animals can walk and talk and also freeze people with magic, but I do have a problem believing that they don't freeze people with magic at any point they get. That's as far as my suspension of belief will get me. Like, I'll believe that Magneto can levitate metal, but I cannot believe that he can levitate a plastic fork.
Wow.
So
what if it has lead in it?
Lead isn't magnetic. I don't think. No, not really. So if it has lead, Magneto should not be able to levitate it.
Wow.
Anyhow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with suspension of disbelief. Like, you can make stuff seem fantastic, but you have to live up to those rules. You can't say that they can't show them do one thing and then just not have them do that for what's the most useful. I feel like it should be useful, especially in that instance. That's what kind of took me out of this episode, really. I couldn't get over the suspension of disbelief for me to fairly enjoy the episode. I thought there was some good humorous points in it. I liked the Vulture. Vulture is very humorous to me. I liked the subplot with the mother and the brother, and the two brothers getting like a Cain and Abel kind of thing. I think he's probably going to defect at one point. Hopefully, we'll see. Maybe he'll be one of the token good characters in a while.
That'd be a bit odd because he's voiced by Laval's father.
Well, I mean, voice
and it sounds very similar. So he'd be like right there along within leading the charge, and it.
Right, doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's also the point where Laval's father only used chi, like, when everything was dire, and he had no extra chi with him, even though they established in the first episode there's abundance of chi. Like, you feel like that would be a big thing that everybody would carry with them, seeing as they have an abundance of it to a battle.
Yeah.
But that's a bit more nitpicky than the freezing people example. So don't read too much into that. It's just inconsistency. That's what got me throughout this episode. I'm hoping that they'll actually find like an intelligent way to beat the ice people, but I think they're just gonna kind of go with, we're gonna find the fire people, and the fire people are gonna help us beat the ice people because fire melts ice and all that great stuff. So
yeah,
it's just another realm to go, another MacGuffin to find.
Quite true. Yeah. I'm certainly curious to see where things are going to go from here. I'm wondering if they're going to introduce the Phoenix tribe in the very next episode, or if they're going to do even more build-up. But I guess we will see. For now, unless anybody has anything else to say, I think that about wraps it up.
I'm thinking. Okay, I'll say this. I now understand why they're going to be all fiery. That's the counteraction to all the ice. And I am actually fairly interested, like Ninjago levels of interest into seeing how they do that. I'm a little bit dismayed that they, forgive me, put Krager's parents on ice. But,
That's
what can you expect?
that's Krager's source of character dilemma.
Here's the thing. It's like
he
red
also
versus.
starts
It's
episode
like
no, I don't want responsibility. I just rather would go around and play.
he's
And
a
his sister's like,
teenager. What do
how
you
am I related
expect?
to you?
He is the. Yeah, no, that's just what he is. That's not what bugs me. It's a sign of the times. No matter how much it's dumb. What bugs me is that it's a red versus blue scenario here. If anybody's ever watched red versus blue, the blues are the reason for all story movement, all plot motivation, and the reds are primarily there for cause and effect and comedic value. The Crocodile tribe are the blues, and every single other tribe are the reds.
So true.
That's actually a really, really apt comparison.
Yeah.
But I am interested to see where they go. I'm very glad that they showed Sir Fangar's chi-up silhouette.
That was great.
So
Sir.
that's my final words. Eager for next week, surprisingly so.
Can I just toss up one final question?
Why not?
Who knighted Sir Fangar?
Good question.
Who was
You
the guy
don't
that was like,
wanna
all right,
know.
out of all the wolves, you are now not just Fangar, you are Sir Fangar at like the round table. Like, was there like a king that knighted him, or he just kind of seems to be the leading person on his side. So why
We'll
isn't he
see
king
later
Fangar?
on.
Why is he just Fangar? They'll explain it. So, like basically these tribes are like the fire and ice tribe are kind of like the freelancers in this red versus blue analogy.
Yup.
And what came before and why everything is like it is.
Could be quite interesting if handled properly.
I guess so. I guess you could really say the freelancers are like the legend beasts because that was also a thing. But
Yeah.
yeah.
But no, I think that is it for us today on this coverage of the second episode of Legends of Chima, I guess season 2. I counted last season as season 2, but everywhere seems to be labeling it. This is just now season 2, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. Things are shaping up. Until then, though, we are going to end this video. So thank you all for watching. Leave your thoughts on the episode in the comments section below. And stay tuned next week for the next exciting coverage of the Legends of Chima TV series. I'm Messina.
I'm LJ.
And I'm Chahi.
And we will see you next time. Goodbye.